Rev up your engines! Okay, even Toyotas break down, right? Here's an 04 Camry. Guy's had it for years. Bought it used, loves it. Just changed oil and filter, brake pads, usual stuff. But now the check engine light's on, so on goes the scan tool. We'll go inside. Hooks up like any scan tool. It's no different. It's just gigantic. Diagnostics. This car's pretty old, but let's see if the auto VIN works. It may or may not. We might have to put it in automatically because it is pretty old. Wait, and you can see he upgraded this lot. Now she put a Pioneer head unit in. Cloth seats that last forever. If you remember my grandson's Camry, it was an 07. And guess what? The leather seats are all totally eaten up. We had to put seat covers on it. This doesn't need seat covers. And it's loading the program. No, it was made in Kentucky because we looked at the side. It's not a partial zero emissions. And you see they're always slower on these old ones, but we'll do the fault scan. I don't want to attach any photos, no. We shall go to the ECM. It's got two codes. PO136. Oxygen sensor circuit fault. Bank 1, sensor 2. Okay, that's the sensor. That's by the catalytic converter. Do active testing. So start it up. See what's coming out of that oxygen sensor. And you can see, bank 1 sensor 1's working perfectly fine, but the oxygen sensor on bank 2 is totally dead. It's doing nothing. So we know it is totally dead. Now, the test that we're doing, as you can see, switches the injector volume. So you can see absolutely nothing's happening there. You can see it's happening on the other one. So either the wire is bad or that sensor shot. This next test you can see, bank 1 sensor 1, working perfectly fine as we rev it up, but you can see the bank 1 sensor 2 is completely dead. So let's look under there. See if any of the wire or anything looks bad. Now there it is. I don't see anything wrong with the wiring. And as we look inside the pin here, we disconnected it. You can see they're crystal clear. It's not like they're corroded or anything. And it turns out they have the same pins, the same clips, so it will work. Everything's exactly the same. You get a big old wrench like this. Luckily, this thing, as you can see, is in an easy place. Some of them are hidden in their stickers. We got that on. We get the old sledgehammer out. Look at that. Went right through the New Jersey rust. You don't see that very often. Sometimes it can take days of hammering. Well, we got lucky on this one. This already came with lube on it, so that's no problem. Just screw it back in, put it on. You want to get it nice and tight. You don't want any air leaking. You get an air leak, it'll mess it all up. Of course, you got to click it back together. You heard that click? It's in there nice and tight now. While we're on here, we'll take a look at this. Hey, superficial rust, still solid as a rock. And that's not surprising because, as the owner just informed me, this was always a northern car and it's in Jersey now. But you got to understand one thing. Even back in 2004, Toyota knew how to rust-proof it. They used zinc-based primer, and the whole assembly, before the car's put together with no engine or anything, goes into this bath and it's electrostatically charged, so the zinc gets not just on the outside of the frame, but on the inside where all the holes are, so it will not rust. This is proof right here. It's been in Jersey all those years, and it's still solid as a rock. The AC works, and you can tell that's the original AC compressor. There's a Toyota alternator. It's old as can be. The engine doesn't burn oil. See, that was 2007 and up for a few years. This is a 2004. It doesn't burn oil. These engines can last basically forever, as can the transmissions. None of this 8-speed or CVT nonsense. These transmissions, it's a simple 4-speed automatic. And not great gas mileage, but still decent gas mileage for an old car that still runs good. You know, is it really worth spending 40 to 50 grand for another car to get what? 8 miles a gallon better? It doesn't really make any sense. To give you an example, we got 33 miles a gallon driving from Jersey to here on the highway. What is there to complain about that? We'll erase the code. Now we'll go back. That's erased. Relatively low to the ground, so we're gonna have to go sideways over the big hump here. And over we go, so it won't drag. No, it's an old car, but these things can run forever. And if you ever own one, you'll notice this: when you step on the brake, they're a little bit spongy down to the ground. That's how these things age. Like a fine wine. If you got an old Camry, your brake pedal will probably go relatively low. If it sinks and then it starts moving, you got a problem. But they just automatically resort to lower brake pedals as they age. You can replace all kinds of parts and it'll still do it. So as long as it stops good, it's nothing to worry about. And here we go to the road. We'll give it a little road test. Not a race car, but not particularly slow either. And yes, it's lunchtime. So everybody's going to eat lunch. The endless stream of cars and trucks. It looks like there's an opening coming. Here it is. Here we go. We'll step on the gas in. Hey, it started to peel out there. The engine's still strong. 147,000 miles, doesn't burn oil. Check it out. Smooth idle. Windows still work. Everything works. It even has little trees. Hey, still shifts good, runs good, corners fine. These old Camrys could last forever. Even in New Jersey. So there you have it, an oldie but a goodie. All it needed was an oxygen sensor. Easy to figure those things out when you got a good scan tool. It'll show you what data's coming in, what data's going out. But for its age, it doesn't burn oil. It still shifts like a dream. It runs fine. And yeah, it's dated looking, but hey, it's a classic now, right? And he paid $3,800 for it years and years ago, and it's still going strong. And it's not rusted out in Jersey. What more could you ask for? And here's some bonus questions and answers. Here goes he says, Scotty, I was thinking about a new Miata with a 6-speed manual or a new Honda SI with a 6-speed manual. Which is better? Basically, what do you want? You know, let's face it, the Miatas are cute little sports cars. Convertible top, right? Zoom. They're fun cars to drive around. A Civic SI is a regular car that's got seats in the front, seats in the back, zippy little cars. They're both pretty well made. They both can last quite some time. But you got to decide, really, what do you want? You want a 2-seater sports car with a convertible top? You know, they're kind of apples and oranges there. They're both decent built vehicles that can last a really long time. But what do you want, you know? The Civic doesn't come with a convertible. You want a convertible, get the Mazda. If you don't particularly care about convertibles, get the Honda. Brian Allen says, Scotty, what do you think about aftermarket oxygen sensors? Is it worth getting to pay more money for the OEM? Normally it is better to buy the OEM ones because oxygen sensors measure very tiny voltage changes. They have to be perfectly aligned with the computer system of the car. Now, of course, realize none of the car manufacturers make their own. They buy them from Nippon Denso, NGK, Bosch, whatever, right? But it's best to stick to the OEM because it was made for that design. And I myself have seen people who say, oh, well, mine came with Bosch and they're real expensive, so I went to AutoZone and I bought universal ones that would fit on. And no, it doesn't run right. And I explain, well, that kind of explains it. You can't just go get this universal crap and throw it on. You can't put, a lot of times, a different manufacturer on what yours had. I have seen people who had Nippon Denso oxygen sensors and put Bosch replacement ones on and they didn't run right. So it's best to stick to OEM. When you're dealing with that computer stuff, small voltages, you're better off. Midwest Picker says, question, if money's no object, F-150 V8 or a Tacoma V6? Money's no object, right? Go ahead and get the F-150 V8. You got a V8. It's going to eat up a lot of gas. You said money's no object, right? It will break more than Toyota. It's more fun to drive, right? But the Toyota, of course, is going to last long. The Tacoma's had V6s in for ages. Those things can run and run and run forever. But you said, if money is no object, and I'm a cheapskate, and money is always an object to me, so I would buy the Tacoma. Whatever I did buy, I'd buy a used one. I wouldn't waste my money on a new one either. Robinson J. Santana says, Scotty, how can I determine if my lower or upper control arms are bad in a 2012 4Runner? If they're really bad, you jack the car up, you pull on the wheels, you get play, and you'll see them wobbling, you know they're worn out. But understand, a lot of times when they start to wear, they won't feel it when they're jacked up in the air. They'll only work when they're on a load. So in that case, you jack it up in the air, get a giant pry bar, pry on them, and if you pry them and they go clunker, clunker, you know they're worn out, right? And of course, just physically look at them. And if the rubber bushings are all torn and ripped, most of them you can't press the bushings in and out. You got to buy the control arms in if they're physically worn out. Archie says, what are your thoughts on ATVs? You know, my son's got a bunch of them out in the country in Tennessee. They're fun to ride around the country. And there you can even ride on the roads. Everybody out in the country smiles and waves, you know, that people use them for hunting and stuff, right? But you got to be careful. When I was at Lewiston, New York, working as a mechanic at my father's gas station, guy who worked for us, his son had one, and he was screwing around by the river, and he didn't look close enough, went right through. Somebody had put a pile of something on the road and didn't warn anybody, hit it, whoosh, went through a fence, whoosh, off with his head. Those are extremely unsafe, unstable. The four wheels now, hey, they're relatively stable. You know, you screw around, you can knock anything over. You wear a helmet on them. They're a lot of fun. You know, they're a lot of fun driving around. I'd like to try an electric one. Anybody got an electric one? Send me one. I got these electric bicycles. I'd like an electric ATV to take out to our country place too. So anybody wants to send me one in Tennessee, get a hold of me, send me an ATV, and I'll try it out and use it in the video. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, Remember to ring that bell.